welcome back, everybody, to Double Down with Breslo, where we give you all the inside information on the sports betting industry, one of the most booming industries in America, with a lot still to go, especially California, where I sit and where our current guest sits. Our guest today is Colin Goldman. He's the GM of Lines.com. Lines.com, which is a website designed to provide sports bettors with all the information that they need. Colin, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to talk about lines to all of your audience.
Cool. Yep. And love talking to a fellow Angelino representing the sports industry here in Los Angeles, which is sports betting industry, which is pretty big, as we discussed before, probably second to New York. So yeah, tell us about Lines.com. How long has it been around and what's its unique niche?
Lines.com's been around for 2 or 3 years now. It started out as a sort of sports information site and moved, of course, as many do, into sports betting information. That's sort of where the market has moved and where the interest has moved, along with the legalization, of course. Now, we're both in California, as you mentioned, so still not legal in the state of California, which is interesting because I work in a state where I run a sports betting information site where we can't do a lot of sports betting itself. So heavy use of VPNs often to check our own content across different states. But we actually offer in about 17 states, in all legal states now, sports betting services connected to best sportsbook promos and best sportsbook lines, which is why we're called Lines, the best deals out there. A lot of sports bettors don't shop for lines as of yet. The more experienced bettors do. But most new bettors don't understand that different sportsbooks actually offer different lines, just like you'd shop for air travel or anything at Costco or anything you're shopping for at Target or Amazon. There are different lines available at every sportsbook on the same exact games and props. So as people become more sophisticated, they're going to be looking to shade points and get better deals on where they're placing their money.
Yeah, interesting. You know, that's kind of an old thing that you've heard about in Vegas for many, many years, which of course used to be the only place in America that you could sports bet, but people would line shop, and they would do it by walking up and down the Strip, or if you're downtown, walking up and down Fremont Avenue, popping your head in and checking the lines and getting the fast one. Not the most efficient way of doing it.
No.
But now that we've got online betting, so that's one of the primary things you're offering to everybody, is a very easy way to check the lines at all the different sports books on one site.
Yeah, we have a bet tracker system, so you can actually not only check the best lines, but you can link your actual sportsbook accounts. So you can actually see across your different sportsbook accounts where the best deals currently are, or if it's an operator you're not with, you can find out the best promo deals to sign up with that operator to then get the best line. So you get the best of both worlds, which is you see the superior line, but also you get the promo enticement deal, essentially, to get either insured bets or second chance bets or other opportunities the books are offering, to then take the best line at that new book you're not linked to yet. So there's no cost to you of that. You're actually just getting a better deal and actually probably getting some sort of promotional value as well. So that's the future. Really see this as a sort of an Expedia, Kayak, or so forth for sports betting, where you're actually shopping now, a sophisticated shopper, getting the best lines. There's also tons of information and handicapper information, analysts on there as well to help guide you. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're getting the best deal possible. You don't need to, as much as I love walking up and down the Strip in Vegas, that is a fun activity. You know, you could just use your phone now to do the same thing in a matter of seconds. So
what about the Vegas casinos? Do you guys put those guys up there?
You mean the sportsbook operators at the casinos?
Yeah. In other words, do you put Treasure Island and Mirage and Cosmopolitan on your website?
We have all the online sports books, so we don't cover every single operator. Now, there's been a lot of consolidation, of course, so it's sort of based on the license and so forth in different states. And in different states, there are different players in different states. As you know, it's a regulated industry, so certain states have certain operators in them and certain don't. I mean, the larger ones, DraftKings, FanDuels, are everywhere, but not every operator is in every state. And then there's also largely European companies and other companies that are trying to get into the US that are then setting up shop in certain states as well. So the thing about sports betting, as you know, it changes every few months, right? So the number of the states where it's legal, the rules within the states, how it's changing as a regulated industry. It's only 3 or 4 years old, and it's constantly changing.
So any of our listeners, could they go on Lines.com right now and just bring up a page for whichever game they're interested in, and on one page see the line from all the different
they can see not only all the lines, but the best promo deals at all the books as well. So if it's similar lines, they can go to either a book they haven't signed up with yet, or sign up for use one they already have linked to already, and get the best lines and the best promo deals. Yes, absolutely. So coming soon will be a lot more predictive technology in terms of advice and handicapping on those games, but we offer a lot of that as well already. So it really is the sophistication of the sports betting market, even for people who are not sophisticated sports bettors. So this is, everybody technically in the US is a new bettor legally. So it's a very nascent market. So there's a lot of people who want to sports bet who do not have a background yet in sports betting. They don't have, technically nobody has years of sports betting experience, unless, like you said, they've been to Vegas casinos.
Yeah, that, or they're betting somewhere else, and I have a feeling there's a lot of people doing that.
There's a lot of people doing that. We don't.
I'm not going to talk about who those people are,
No.
but I may know one of them.
Yeah.
So if they go on, oh, sorry, the point I was going to make though is you're providing all this information from all the different online sports books, and in any particular market, we could be talking about as many as 10, but in order to really take advantage of those differences in lines, you got to have an account set up at each one of these places. Now, if you're hardcore into sports betting, then I guess probably those people do have accounts at each one of them. It's quite a bit to manage because, of course, you got to fund that account. So what are you seeing there? Are sports bettors in these states opening 5-10 accounts?
Well, most people come into this already. A lot of people have the FanDuel and DraftKings have a huge market share, obviously. So through their DFS and through their sports bait. So they were way ahead of everybody else. So they have a large market share. So generally when people come in a large measure, they have either a DraftKings or FanDuel account. Or they've heard of those, and the first ones they sign up for. What they don't know about the other 8 or 9 or 10, like you mentioned. You do need to make a deposit. You do need to make a deposit, large deposits to set up at these sports books, but they are free to sign up for. And in fact, like I mentioned earlier, you often get $200, $250, sometimes up to $500 in promotional deals with them just for signing up. They want to have you as a customer. So not only does it not cost you anything other than the actual, you have to put down some deposit, usually it's $100 or so forth you put into the account just to make sure you're real, but you're not actually spending anything until you actually bet. In cases you're getting promotional values as well. So people might be a little hesitant to do that, but actually a lot of more sophisticated people are shopping around all the sports books, not only getting the deals together, but they're also then getting the best lines possible. So
yeah,
it does make, people say like, what does half a point make? Or so it does make a difference over time for sure. It's just like, why would you pay more for the same airline flight for the same place to the same place if you didn't have to? It's going to get you from point A to point B. You're getting the exact same deal on the back end on the payout, but the cost up front to you is less and the chances of winning are higher.
Yeah. Have you by chance ever done any analysis or seen an analysis of, let's say, one savvy bettor who's always shopping the lines is always saving a half point? Because I mean, realistically, you're going to save a half point, maybe a point if you're lucky, right? Yep. But typically more like a half point. If you had a half point advantage consistently on every one of your bets,
yes,
what does that do to the house edge? How much does that really help the player?
So it's interesting. We're collecting that data now. So it's all pretty, this is all pretty new. We're talking about the last year or two, and this has been out there. So we are collecting data over time to the point that we'll be able to analyze that in very specific nature very soon, to where we can actually show the value. We can show the value of that to people. Now, some people say, I'm not betting a lot of money. What's the difference and so forth. But again, it's sort of a mindset. It's your money. So why not, if you're betting smaller amounts and you're not a huge bettor, it's still a waste of money to not get the best lines.
Yeah.
And it used to be, like you said, a physical difficulty to shop the lines, but now it's so easy. It's in one place. You can do it in seconds. You're just throwing money away by not doing. You're really throwing money away by not doing it. And also, by the way, it's fun. So it's fun to see the difference between it's fun to see the difference between the lines.
I can report that whenever I've had accounts at more than one place, it's interesting because when you compare one to the other and you see kind of this bargain on one, a game that I may not have bet at all before. Yeah. Now all of a sudden I think, oh, I can get I've seen it everywhere at -8. These guys have it at -7.5. You know what? I think I'm going to take that.
Yep. And then also sometimes a big player will come in and shift the lines, or their hometown crowd will come in and shift the line at one place. They're all moving to one place on a deal. So, savvy people. Now, do the books love you doing this? Not really. They'd rather you just stick with your favorite or just go with the big guy or just, not shop for deals. But again, they're not going to stop that market force. It's out there already. So, they're going to have to offer, if they're not offering some other loyalty programs or other deals, they're going to have to offer the best lines. And ultimately, like any marketplace where there's competition now, the lines will get more favorable to the bettors over time. So, no one's going to stick. There is no great loyalty in sports betting to a book. No one's going to get a worse line or pay more for a book when the same deal is at a book one click away. That's a better deal. It's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, one way to analyze the value of that half point is that typically a sports book, or the ones that allow you to buy a half point, they charge you 10%. Yeah. So if it's normally 110 to win 100, they're going to charge you 120 to win 100 if you buy a half point. So if you look at it that way, the half point has a 10% value, which means that if you always get that in your favor, instead of betting 110 to win 100, you're effectively betting 100 to win 100. You've essentially taken away the house edge.
Yeah, they've assigned a value to it, right? So they've assigned a sales value to it. So it has a market value to it. Now, of course, you could say other things are as important: savvy betting, picking making the right decisions, all those kinds of things probably weigh even heavier. But once you've done those steps, then you look for the best. You look for the best deal. And you will kick yourself if you don't get the best deal and you lose on half a point because you were too lazy to make one extra click to win the bet. You will just, I guarantee you, 40 years from now, you're going to be like burning over that bet.
Look, the edge is so slight in favor of the house that anything that can push it toward the player can make all the difference in the world. And people who have placed a lot of sports bets in their lives, they know how many times they lost by a half point. In this case, you
don't need to buy the half point. You can shop for the half point. It's free, right? So it really is. And like you said, it's so easy to do. And we're doing that. Eventually, the other market will catch up. Everybody else will be doing this. It's just I think we're the leaders in this, but everyone else will copy us. It's going to happen very soon.
What about tracking? You're tracking lines for traditional sports betting. What about tracking fantasy and what's being offered out there as far as the cost of a particular player or that type of thing?
So we're starting to do a lot. We're not tracking for fantasy yet. We're starting to do a lot of crossover and prop bets, right? So fantasy being largely a prop bet machine, legal in all states as well. So in California, you can do a Prize Picks or Underdog or other places like that. And really is that sort of, there's a blur happening between these betting, right? So I think you'll get to see a lot of people who are in betting. At first we saw DFS only because it was legal. Then sports betting became legal. I think you're going to see a lot of crossover back to what you call DFS or fantasy now, pick'em type stuff, essentially prop betting, right? Back to fantasy. And so you'll be able to track that as well soon on lines. I assume it will still be called fantasy and DFS moving forward for various reasons. But a lot of
you mentioned Prize Picks. I mean, they're probably the best example of this crossover between fantasy and regular, because they're prop bets, which of course means betting on player statistics. But they're betting against the house, whereas traditional fantasy has been player against player. What do you think is the future of Prize Picks, and do you think they're going to continue to be able to offer this legally, betting against the house that way?
I don't know. Those answers. I don't know that. I would say everything I've guessed about the legal stuff in the last 2 years has been wrong. So, I remember cheering when sports betting became legal in Florida, and then a few months later it wasn't any longer. So it's just things. There's a lot of opportunism on the state level and players in California. As you know, we had the propositions to make betting legal in California, but they're two separate entities sort of fighting one another to be in control of that. So it didn't pass, which I thought it would have passed if it had just one. So there's so much up in the air about this. I don't know what's going to happen legally. Now, states are becoming more active in terms of regulating even after legalization. So you've seen places like Ohio where they're coming back and saying, hey, you can't call free, these free picks anymore, right? You can't say you're giving free picks to people because they're not free. So they're starting to regulate and to fine the books pretty heavily on this stuff. At the same time, they make a lot of money in tax revenue off of these businesses. So, they're sort of, it's sort of like any other vice product that they tax very heavily. They will come out and scream and yell about a lot of it, but at the end of the day, they have already pre-spent the money. So it's never going away. It's never going away. So a lot of this is sort of like, I think they will, what I guess I would say is they will work with the operators to make sure that whatever they want gets done without a lot of hostility.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got to take our first break. After the break, I know you said that before we started here that lines.com is getting into AI, which how AI is going to intersect with sports betting is on a lot of people's minds. So let's plan on covering that after the break. We're talking to Colin Goldman, the GM at lines.com.
Buy, hold, sell, brought to you by Crosscheck Management. Hi everyone, I'm Veronica Dudo, and welcome to Buy,
Hold, Sell. If you have the Russians that are going into Ukraine, the Americans and the Germans and everyone else in Europe is going to say, hell no.
If Russia doing things, logically was their MO, I'd agree with you. Yeah, Todd, why don't you get him on a phone call right now? Hello.
Financial News TV, just the way you like it. Fast-paced, unadulterated, in-your-face, rock and roll style. Join us next time on Buy, Hold, Sell Live.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to remember all that. I can't even remember. Oh, God. Yeah, well, that does. I want you to, oh, my God. Fast-paced, no, oh, sorry.
Take one.
Fast-paced, no holds barred, in-your-face, rock and roll style.
Woohoo! Let's kick some ass.
I want you to smash that like button.
Track, cue, dissolve.
Good morning and welcome
from Bigwig Studios. From the Bigwig Media Studio.
Bigwig Media's broadcast center at the Willard is the ideal headquarters to host your virtual meetings and video conferences.
Kudos to our team who's running around behind the cameras.
What I liked about working with Bigwig Media was you guys are the experts.
Our industry pros have you covered. Let's get started.
Welcome back, everybody, to Double Down. We're talking to Colin Goldman, GM at lines.com, which offers sports bettors in one place an ability to quickly see the lines at all the different online sports books. So great service for players. Before we talk about AI, a couple more questions about lines.com. So one thing I'm curious about, occasionally you'll see sports books, instead of betting 110 to win 100 on an NFL game, they'll offer, say, 108 to win 100. And I don't know how much that's the case on online or whatever, but I'm just curious, are you seeing much differentiation on the sports books as far as the standard 110 to win 100? And is that something you guys track?
We are tracking that. I haven't seen that. I saw that like more a year or two ago. It seemed to be more common. And now I think it's become, as this marketplace becomes more online, it becomes more open, to everybody in terms of that. Everyone's seen every line now, especially on places like lines.com. So I think you're seeing less of that sort of a slight variation than you used to see. And I think they're trying to market through different means. I think it largely confused people a lot as to what was going on. The sports books themselves in the US are also very new at what they're doing. So our parent company is a European company called Spike Up, who's been in Europe for a long time doing casino and sports book. And it's a much more sophisticated, not that the Europeans are all more sophisticated than Americans, but literally it's just been around for a lot longer and more open in Europe. So I think American books are just still kind of learning how to operate and how to market and how to reach people in the US, as they've been doing for many years in Europe. So I think you'll see a lot of these sort of weird or aberrant things that come up as they're trying out different techniques and then seeing if they work or not. But I think literally we're really in the infancy of this. I think that the books are still trying to figure out their customers. That's something that they don't have a good handle on right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're spending a ton of money on marketing and all these free promotions. So then once they actually get a player, they're going to probably feel like, hey, we need it to be 110 to win 100. Yep. But maybe when it gets more mature, you might see them competing with each other a little bit on that 110. I mean, think about it this way. It used to be that sports bets were taken at a brick and mortar on a strip casino where it's very, very expensive real estate and money and time and so forth at the sportsbook, and they're only taking 110 to 100. Here, it's all online. You think it would be way more efficient. The profit margins would be a lot higher, and that these guys could afford to offer 105 to win 100 or 108 to win 100.
Well, the only thing I'd say is, being in old Vegas, a guy who used to go to Vegas many years ago, is don't complain about the vig. If you want a long life, They take what they take for their operations. It's their cut. They will probably get competitive with that, or they'll do what DraftKings, FanDuel are doing. They're spending a lot on marketing, loyalty programs, media, all sorts of other stuff to get people branded into their book, so they don't have to offer the discounts. They can offer it somewhere else. Generally casinos don't like to touch that main source of income per se, rather spend it on marketing.
Give it back in rewards. I mean, it's not just gambling. Everybody, you go to Vaughn's supermarket and everything's about rewards these days. What do you see as you track these sportsbooks? You've talked a lot about you guys provide information as to what promotions are offering. I hear I've heard lots about promotions to come and join. Deposit $100 and we're going to give you $100 in free play. What about for players that have already been on there for a long time, but they just want to kind of stimulate those players to play more? Are they continuing to offer promotions once you've already signed up?
They do ongoing loyalty promotions. A lot of them do, but generally, because these are all new operators, essentially in sports betting, they're really looking at signing up new customers, right? So I think as they mature, again, it's think about these as 2 to 3 year old businesses, right? Now with millions of customers all of a sudden, and they don't necessarily have a sophistication or years of experience of how to retain customers. So I think you'll start seeing a lot more, say, marketing people coming in and starting to test out these different programs for that in terms of keeping accounts. Now we talk about a FanDuel or DraftKings, they're creating a lot of media content. So you're going to get a lot of stuff on there, like your favorite shows, your favorite stuff. They're poaching people from Barstool and other personalities. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that type of what you might call Pat McAfee marketing type stuff to keep people in the loop, such that their favorite people and personalities are with these books, and they're in some sort of entertainment relationship with them as well for their betting. But there'll also be, I'm sure, flights and hotels and vacations and other things are offered to people, just like the casinos do on the whales, if you will, for the bigger bettors.
So what is lines.com business model? How do you guys make money?
Largely, we find customers for the books, right? So we operate largely off an affiliate model. We help guide people into the best sports books for the best deals with the best lines. And that's the larger part of our business model, essentially. We're not unique in that. There is, as you mentioned, a marketing outreach of pretty extensive measure by the sportsbook operators to find customers, because whatever it is they pay their affiliates, their long-term value of those customers is a lot more. And also, I hate to repeat myself, but they are new in this business, and so they don't really yet understand fully how to get customers in other ways. So they're working on that, of course, with the media buys or through organic search or other ways. But for right now, affiliate marketing, having lots of people like lines.com, where a ton of people go to as their sort of sales agents out there, helps them quite a bit.
And are you required to be licensed in order to be an affiliate?
We are. Yeah, we are. It's very tightly regulated. So we are licensed in all the states where we market for sports betting. You have to be. As you mentioned, there's probably a few people you may know who are doing it without license, but that's not legal. Yes, it is. There's a legal hurdles and expense hurdles and other things to get licensed to operate as a marketing agent in these states, let alone be a sports book. So
you got to get licensed, and then in turn you have to put deals in place with the various online
you have to put deals in place. Books. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of management and expense and other things that go with it. You can't just start. This is not be a great startup business for somebody looking to do it independently.
And how many deals do you guys have in place with online sports books?
I think we have deals with every single sports book out there, so pretty much in every state. So they're eager to have the deals in place, right? And these are they're looking for customers. So that's not the legal stuff takes a while, but they're not the solicitation or getting them to do deals is not the hard part. So we have 15, I believe 15, up to 15 now.
So not to get too in the weeds on this, but I'm curious. So let's say you got 15 books signed up. Yeah. Each one of them its own deal, presumably each one of them slightly different. I imagine some might be more generous than others as far as providing affiliates with revenue. So if you got one that's more generous than the other, is there anything that you guys are able to do to
No, there are some. I can say this: we don't currently accept, say, sponsorship dollars for better placement from the books. There are places that do that, and the books do offer that, because obviously, if you look at any sort of search response, Google or Expedia or anywhere, people pay to get higher, or Yelp, you get paid to get higher results. So that's a perfectly legal and legitimate business model. We don't currently accept that as of now. I don't see an issue with it as long as it's disclosed. But yeah, of course, the books, some books are eager to they don't want to be ranked 14th in the list. Now, we typically don't show all offers, and we will if you want to expand to that level, but we'll typically show the best offers, so that people don't have too many options of inferior offers that they're looking at. So, but again, you're only getting those offers on your first sign up. So once you sign up for something, now you're looking for deals with whoever is left, right, that you haven't signed up with yet. So it may be the best deal is a place you already have an account with. They're not going to give you the deal a second time,
unless you have a second email address.
Well, no, but there's a know your customer, so you have to you have to check with your driver's license and everything else. So I am sure there are some, again, you have friends, I have friends maybe who are doing some things that they shouldn't be doing, but generally it's really hard to get more than one account. So
gotcha. All right, let's cover AI in the limited time we've got left. What is lines.com looking at?
So we're looking at very heavily at, we're moving into AI predictive technology for a lot of stuff that we're doing. I think it's the future of not just sports betting, but all mathematically algorithmic based operations. AI, I don't get carried away with it all. Well, first, I don't believe in the Terminator model. AI is going to kill us all. So that's a start. You got to believe that. Otherwise you wouldn't get into it. Nobody wants that future. But I see AI as just a tool, right? It's like social media. It's like electricity. It's like the hammer. It's a tool that you can use to improve your performance. It's not a one-stop turnkey operation to solve any problem. And in fact, what we've learned delving into it already is that it's a very complicated, it's called AI, which sounds really simple, but it's a really complicated set of processes and a science that you need to understand to actually operate. So it's sort of like me trying to do DIY projects around my house, electricity or plumbing. I can look at a YouTube video and try to figure out, and it never works. You need a really skilled plumber or electrician to do it. So it seems perhaps easy, but you need really actual scientists, technical people behind the scenes to actually operate AI in a practical and sort of advantageous way. And we will be using that both in sort of predictive models, say, here's the best bet, right? So we run this, and not just a simulation. I'm sure you're familiar with algorithms and algorithmic betting. Those all rely on human assumptions, right? So you're going to give 20% weight to this, 10% weight to that, 30% to the weather, 20% to the home team. Someone's making those decisions, and they'll fine tune it as a human. But AI would allow you to do that in a much greater, much more rapid iterative process, such that you can see why your assumptions are wrong and start getting much more higher level of confidence in your predictions on sort of game outcomes, especially prop bets specifically along those lines. It's an imperfect market. The lines are set by humans. The sport is played by humans. Having an outside sort of AI register all that data and put all together will always outpace the humans. There's just no way that, I don't care how smart a handicapper is, there's no way they'll be able to keep up with that. That's just sort of the nature of the future, where the future is headed.
So lines.com intends to use AI to basically provide predictions, and
we'll be doing predictive betting with AI. We'll be doing a lot of analysis. You can see things and charts and data that support your own sort of handicapping that is different than what you've seen before. You'll see where books have been divergent from reality, where there's opportunities and so forth. Even with the predictive technology, it's not 100%, obviously, because that's not going to work. Then sports betting business goes away. It's just going to be higher than anyone else can offer. But again, it's going to be a set of tools that offer you analysis and also a higher confidence prediction model. But we also do have we'll be having live human handicappers as well. So you can see the difference between the two, and we'll measure the performance. We do bet slip only leaderboards. So we actually track the bet slips from the books that handicappers make and our people on our site make. So the leaderboards are all verified. As you may or may not know, not every person marketing their handicapping services online is completely honest about their results, or they have their money line win losses and so forth. We actually track verified bet slips through the sports books. So when people show their records of their betting, we actually have the verified bet slips for that.
Cool. And to what extent is AI already being used out there in the sports betting industry? Is it in place anywhere?
It is only in place in name. It's in place in name. People saying that we're getting the AI. We are actually have people in place with AI. We have systems in place with AI. It's not something you just turn on overnight. It takes, a while to do, and then also to test and to keep iterating. So it's not something you launch on day one. But yeah, you're going to start seeing more and more of this stuff, and not just because it's trendy, but because I think it's just sort of, the future. I worked with a handicapper, I won't mention, 2 years ago, and he showed me his algorithmic model, and it was like, it took me back to high school calculus. I mean, it was so advanced. It was crazy, right? But even what he's doing, and he has a consistent winning about 10 to 14% over the last 10 years in terms of sports betting. But even with his system, it still can't. And he's literally a technical genius, cannot compete with what AI will be able to do. Just in terms of the sourcing of the data that it actually finds and recovers and analyzes is something that nobody else will be able to do. So I think it's to gain an edge. It's also, there'll always be humans involved. You can see the difference. I wouldn't say just turn over your bets to AI, but at some point, not just in sports betting, but in stock market investments, other things along those lines, you'll see people doing more and more into funds that are being predicted by AI.
Well, certainly let us know as soon as you got that, because we would all like access to those picks.
Yeah.
Come to
Lions.com in a few weeks. You'll see it live. It's gonna be fantastic.
Oh, that's amazing. Is there a particular date that you guys are going to?
No, I'm not saying a date yet. So the computers are very, very reliable. The humans, we're still learning. So we'll have it out. We'll have it out very soon. Our goal is to have it fully operational, running for football season for 2023. So
amazing. All right. Well, that's a tip for everybody. Head to Lions.com this next football season. Colin, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We'll have you on again once your AI is active. And as usual, thank everybody for listening and watching. Double Down with Breslo on CrossCheck Media. We'll be back soon with another great. Take care.